When you're a server owner, or in any position that yells out the word leader, there's a huge downside. A time will come where players, or simply a couple of haters, will come at you and your audience with straight up BS that is nothing but the bent truth, if any of it's true at all. Even if you haven't done anything controversial, people will invent reasons to hate you. Now, I don't intend to say that as an understatement or exaggeration. To an extent, it's actually true, especially when that player in particular has something about themselves under wraps that they don't like. This case file will go further into that with proof because it is about that exact type of player. Let's take Dominique as an example. We never had any beef. The only reason I was aware that he existed was because I had sources on JC tell me that he'd throw shade on my back. We didn't officially interact until the drama of another DC server became overwhelming. Don't get me wrong though, in a previous case file video that I had to take down, I admitted my mistakes. I'm not going to pull a Tracy here by starting off this video as someone pretending to be overconfident and innocent. So without a doubt, maybe my first 2 years of being in this community, I might have said or done a few things that I look back at wishing I was a better person. Those who still hold those grudges, there's nothing more I can do. On the contrary, one of my former players by the name of Auntrol had no grudges with me. Our downfall was his doing. He was a pretty good player. Although Auntrol was a bit of a nuisance starting off, he brought humor into the server. Very active, voted more times than I can count, even eventually earned the trusted rank despite already being a donor. Whenever a player would attempt to ruin our environment by being toxic, we troll them and cracked funniest jokes. Both in-game, whenever you could join, and through the Discord server. Even though this is all based around a small group of Minecraft servers, it's fair enough for me to say that the friendship we built beyond Marvel MC was the kind that you'd hope nothing would come between, which is where we come to the personal history. Outside of the server, Anshul and I were legit 1% arguments, as the rest of it was just bonding and laughter. The things become very questionable and confusing to think about because the thing I just said about hoping no one comes between a friendship like that isn't what happened. What happened was, he suddenly stabbed me in the back and did the things that only an enemy would dare themselves to do. Plus, it's a long list of things. As I said in the introduction, people will invent reasons to hate you, even if you haven't necessarily done anything to them in particular. I'm 100% sure I never intended to do him any harm. I saw both of us as great friends. Then the cruel things he did made me question literally everything. Before I get into that, however, allow me to explain a few of the downsides to being Antrol's friend. Downsides that I had to work my way around to avoid any conflict that could have actually happened much sooner. For one, Anshul is a very annoying flexer. It's where he does it on purpose, but also plays it off. In simple terms, Anshul is a people pleaser. In the heat of the moment, it doesn't matter what side he's on. Unfortunately, the flexing eventually progressed into something that I shouldn't have tolerated. It went from flexing his expensive house to things like losing his virginity and getting experience other sexual things that no one needs to know about. It got worse when he started sending me pictures of the same context. Even when we video called, he would hold up pictures to the camera to catch me off guard with things I didn't expect nor wasn't trying to see. I heard about this from one of our mutual friends, Jug Beanie. Both of us even asked for him to stop. According to Jug, he didn't stop. But with me, he would only stop sometimes, then make excuses to do it again, which means my options were to either just put up with it or let go from being his friend. Looking back, I know I could have just blocked and moved on. After all, that problem only lies on Discord. But I didn't see that as a reasonable option at the time. Worst of all, he carries and admits to having child pornography. It was one of the things that he held up to his webcam. Things didn't just go from almost perfect to this guy is just the worst. He did several things to continue to show me that he wasn't who he put me under the impression to be. Things like this only continue to proclaim that when it comes down to it, we're all on our own. As much as I'd hate for that to be true, it's situations like this that further justify it. One thing that he started becoming obsessive about was my face, how I look. He would persist with this inside joke that I wear a marshmallow helmet in real life. For those who don't know, Marshmello is a DJ, EDM producer. And when I told him that it was an annoying joke, he would say something along the lines of, "Then just show me your face and I'll stop." He tried manipulating one of my closest friends that I physically know into sharing my face. Twice. First time was with my acknowledgement. Then later on, the second time, he tried swaying them behind my back. After my ex and I had a huge falling out, we were in a private call arguing. He told her to ask me to turn on my camera so that way he could see. With her being frustrated at me at the time, he tried taking advantage of that so that way she'd be very likely to leak my face out of anger. He once went out of his way to add me into a group chat with another close friend in which they'd both turn on their cameras so that way I'd feel a bigger pressure to turn on my own camera. Auntrol even illustrated me using his imagination and would ask me to tell him I was close to guessing how he looked through those drawings. Like I said, very, very obsessive. I knew I couldn't trust someone if their only interest started to become solely about getting to see my face. Sadly, I never caught on to this, but Auntrol wasn't always being a friend. Behind my back, he would apparently allow peer pressure to take over and be my enemy with those that I'm disliked by. In November of 2018, a time came where a Marvel MC staff member, someone that I was in a relationship, and other mutual friends started this unsuccessful rebellion that consisted of a group chat full of one-sided complaints about me. They even contacted the staff members of another server to try and get me banned and mention everything that I had apparently done wrong as a server owner and as a friend. Again, I mentioned that in this community, when you're a server owner, people will invent reasons to make you the bad guy. This is one of those things I was referring to. What makes it easier for me to help those reasons be invented is that I'm actively tending to the development and grossing of my server, which means I also interact with my players, which is both good and bad, because knowing your community is important, but at the same time, the community knows me, which is where problems can arise. If I were to be the type of owner to only work on the server offline and simply let the server run without acknowledging that my players exist, I would have never been in a situation where up to 5 of my players, including Auntrol, are in a group chat influenced by nothing but personal beef, an attempt to tarnish the reputation of me as a person and my server. Believe it or not, there are games where moderators or administrators aren't allowed to interact with players for this very reason. In verbatim, he told me that if he had a choice between me or them, he'd most likely pick me. On the contrary, what I don't understand is that if we were actually that close, why would he be in that group chat supporting those that are fed up with all this anger that they're using to cause drama between me and to throw shade at me to other servers? This wouldn't be the only situation that supports this either, which brings me back to the group chat that was made to convince me to reveal myself to Auntrol. The other friend that was in the group, I'll refer to him as Eric O'Grady. We're actually really close. He's a 2017 player of my server that has played the server with his older sister for the past 2+ years. So compared to Eric, Anshul is a very recent player. He started playing the server right after Avengers Infinity War came out. The reason why I remember such detail is that Auntrol was the first person to spoil the movie on the server. Since Eric, me and his sister, let's just go with Anna. We all easily became very close to Auntrol. We trusted him. He was never much of a liar. If anything, he was the type of guy to tell us the truth behind closed doors to avoid causing a huge outcry. I don't know what the hell was Auntrol's mindset, but out of nowhere, one day Eric tells me that he was contacted by Auntrol and that he had claimed some very twisted shit, some of it involving Anna. Things that I would rather not say on record because I don't want to be the recipient of my own rumors going around. Also, it wasn't even just rumors. Some of it was Auntrol revealing things I expected to stay between us, and the rest were him trying to proclaim false motives. This won't sound relevant, but hear me out. In all my years of owning a server, there's one thing that I've hated the most, which is when my server goes through generations of players that come and go. So if I have players that have been around since 2016 or 2017, may I add, the server opened up in 2016. I cherish the relationships I have with those players, and I do everything I can to make sure I don't ruin their interest in playing my server. So what hurt me the most as a human being is that with Auntrol being a newbie compared to my history with Eric and Anna, due to how close we let him get to us, is that for a split second, they believed him. Some things aren't supposed to be questioned. Two things, however, will never make sense to me. One of those things being that what was the purpose in developing all this chemistry with me, simply to stab me in the back with these sick rumors. The other thing being, why would my close friends from 2017 believe this guy that just showed up? Although I don't blame Eric and Anna for believing him, because I as well took the L on how manipulative Auntrol turned out to be. I don't complain about this as much as I used to back in 2017, mainly because this series of case files helps me prove and disprove things. But even with Marvel MC having its own standalone community, what I don't get is why we, and by we I mean all the RP servers in this community, why we take everything into consideration, including the drastic stuff. I wish I could have it in me to say what these rumors were to further compare, but nonetheless, it's simply not worth it on my part. Here's how everything was cleared up and how Auntrol responded to the things not going his way. After I found out Auntrol had spread rumors about me, the only thing that was on my mind was to make sure that Eric and Anna understood my side of things, didn't have any further doubts, etc. I never had it in me to get revenge by divulging some of the things that I revealed at the beginning of this video, because I still didn't understand if Auntrol was even seeing eye to eye with me or not. What I mean is, even though Auntrol tried taking me and my friendships down with things that weren't even true, I wasn't going to return the favor and put his crap on the table. However, Auntrol tried creating a pattern for himself by doing the same to a close friend of mine that was isolated from the RPMC community for the past 2 years. The same person that Auntrol tried convincing into showing my face. That's where things took Auntrol for a ride. When Eric was apologizing to me and admitting his guilt for believing some of the things that Auntrol told him for a split second, I remember him telling me how good of a person another 2017 friend of ours was being, since he has agreed to helping me with this case file video. I can refer to him directly as Kane. Eric said, and I quote, Kane started to help and would be like helpful and be like, are we sure, man? Because it doesn't seem like something he would do. One thing I can say is that when Auntrol began spreading more rumors, this time with a close friend of mine, Kane took action and brought it to her attention. I'll refer to this friend as Nadine. When Nadine learned what Auntrol had done to me and realized that he was beginning to do with her, she cleared up all the twisted rumors using a side of the story that I had given her privately. In addition to that, she also, without hesitation, exposed Auntrol. The screenshot speaks for itself. Kane left Nadine anonymous in the screenshot that consists of some of the things that she confided in him about Auntrol, and got clarification from Drugbeanie, whom confirmed that everything Nadine said was true. According to Drugbeanie, Anshul ordered him to deny it. Anshul's bottom line was that he was deleting Discord, his excuse being that he was done with all this quote-unquote online drama. After attempting to expose me with propaganda, Auntrol basically defeated himself after trying to take me down, but wound up getting himself exposed in the process. By the looks of it, that's not something he could handle, considering that he bailed. So now he's done altogether. What more could I say? In the words of Drugbeanie, karma hurts like a bitch. Good riddance. After everything was over, Auntrol got a new Discord and migrated to Epic. This is where he continued his ways of stirring up drama and starting rumors about Nadine. It's also where he proceeded to be my enemy. And based on the previous case file, the owner TracyMusic isn't a good influence when it comes to drama. If anything, they encourage it. Link to the interview based on that will be in the description. Speaking of the previous case file, on the day that I made Tracy aware that the videos will be made, that's when Auntrol tried to contact me after deleting his Discord, but I wouldn't let it happen. He tried adding me on a phony Discord account. He joined the Roleplay MC Discord server. In the end, he had a big apology relayed to me through Drugbeanie. So he did apologize. It took a lot to reach out to me, but he did do what he could for what it's worth. I didn't take his apology into consideration due to the fact that he waited until he found out that this case file was being made in order to finally say something about everything that he had put me and what he put my closest friends through. In other words, I am addressing that he apologized. That was the right thing to do. But it's a little fishy. It was the timing of it all. By timing, I mean he initially blocked me on January 13th of this year and didn't apologize until March 2nd, pretty close to 2 whole months later. Not to mention, he reached out to me on the same day that I revealed to Jadafire that I was making the case files to begin with. All of that put together makes me feel like the only reason he waited so long to apologize was that he simply wanted to avoid being put on the spot like this by trying to get a grasp of my forgiveness. Anyways, after going back to being my enemy, after no signs of betrayal on my part, followed by starting crazy rumors about me, it's one thing to delete your Discord and make a new one so you can get away from all the shit that you brought upon yourself. However, it's another thing to migrate to another server and only continue your ways and completely defame me again. I know this for a fact because when I was getting information for Tracy's original case file, I came across evidence of Auntrol entertaining Tracy's constant defamation, even by starting new rumors, which only tells me that all the lies you've told, things you've done, everything that you ultimately apologize for, meant nothing. Typically, when two friends have some sort of disagreement, or if one friend does something wrong without noticing, it's up to the pair to have a conversation. Communication is very essential. Anshul, you didn't let that happen. You blocked me after you tried to turn two of my closest friends against me, and you even catfished me to try getting more personal information out of me, so you could reveal those things as well. When all of your doings rained on you, what did you do? You cowardly deleted your Discord and repeated the process on a different server, elsewhere. I told myself that I wouldn't engage after you blocked me, Auntrol, and after I fixed my friendships with Eric and Anna, the intention was to just let you do you. You deleted your Discord, you ended things on your own terms because of your own actions. Then you went to Tracy of all people, continued to not only talk shit about me, but then you put the name of another one of my closest friends in your mouth. Whatever happened between us is something that I was going to slowly begin to let go. But that doesn't mean that I was going to be willing to sit back and watch you try to tarnish the reputation of another close friend. So the reason why this video was up is because I'm sticking up for my friends. I told Eric and I told Anna that if Anshul came at them the same way he came at me, then they were to let me know. Nadine has been a friend of mine since 2015, so that applies to her as well. I'd hate to put you all under the impression that I'm grabbing every chapter of drama that I go through and putting it to the public for views. That's not what I'm doing at all. If this is your first time watching a case file of mine, then you should know that I do these as a community warning. So before you go into the comment sections or Minecraft server to call me a call out channel, consider this: a guy who you become very closely acquainted with, to the point where you defend him at all costs, to the point where he's like a brother, only for him to go behind your back to be the complete opposite, while he turns your friends that you have a much bigger history with against you, and to paint this picture that you're one of the worst on the planet. And when he apologizes for it all, he doesn't learn. He just creates a new page and moves on to someone else you may know. Even though it is most definitely doing so, this video is not to call Auntrol out. This video is to warn the smaller communities to beware of Auntrol and other people like him. Ruining friendships, starting drama that they're going to ditch out on. To this day, it's hard to piece together how it actually happened. Meanwhile, I just hope this never happens to no one else. Shout out to Kane. He helped me pick most of the appropriate obituary names for the people whom I was referring to when telling the stories. Shout out to Question. This is the second time helping me out with a thumbnail for one of these videos. Shout out to Jugbeanie for some of the background content to this video, and shout outs to Sparrow. He did a real good job of confirming a lot of things and being my overall eyes and ears when everyone else had Antrol's actions put them in over their head. Thank you all for watching this video. Check the description for part 2 of Tracy's case file, and there will also be a link to a project I'm working on with a runic called Final Day, a story based around Spider-Man's fate during the events of Fatal Web, a Marvel MC event that took place on the 15th of June. Lastly, be sure to leave a like as well as your feedback in the comment section below I'll see you guys again next time. Goodbye.